IMSA Radio.
Well, hello everybody and welcome along. It's nice to have your company, and it's the Haggerty Global Broadcast.
To go racing. It's a super event all the way around.
In the form of O'Gara Motorsport running for Stephen Agagani and Jacob Edson. We've got an extra Porsche in the form of GMG. That is Kyle Washington, who will be going out first for qualifying, sharing with James Sofronis, a regular to the Long Beach Street Course, it can be said. And we've got Scuderia Corsa back with the Ferrari. It is Daniel Massinelli and Colin Brown sharing that car this weekend. A lot of fun going out around the streets. And then you throw in the championship battle, where we've got 4 cars separated by next to nothing, and a potential championship swing that could see any one of them take the lead by the end of this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So, just waiting for the green flag. It has been a little overcast today. And in fact, there's been showers just outside of the area of the circuit. It hasn't affected the track so far. We've had a couple of practice sessions already. It was a 1:13.4 that was the best for Whelen Engineering in the first practice session. In GT Le Mans Corvette, and the number 4 car had a 1:19.7. And in GTD, it was Paul Miller Racing. No, it wasn't. It was Wright Motorsports who had the fastest time at a 1:20.5 in the fast.
Session now that will set the order of the grid for tomorrow's race.
And what we should say, Shea, is that the track position here is so important because it is, being the nature of a straight track, it is difficult.
Yeah, very much so. Passing here is a premium, and that's something that we're actually going to see come into play between these two sessions. Something that for some reason never clicked in my brain until yesterday, John. They don't actually refuel the cars in between these two sessions. So the AM drivers that are out on track now are burning off fuel in essence for the pro drivers to go quicker in the second session. But the big thing is they do change tires between the two sessions. It is mandatory that you start the race on these qualifying tires for tomorrow, and the driver currently in the car will be the start driver for the race. But the thing is, you can't then burn those tires off in the points qualifying race. Well, do you want the points? Do you take advantage of the opportunity and put some new sticker Michelins on the car, considering you're likely to have one stop tomorrow during the race, for which you only need one sticker set of tires? 5 over the course of the weekend means that you very well could use 2 sets of new tires for these 2 qualifying rounds. But there are many cars, particularly those not involved in the championship chases, who are thinking, no, I'm going to send my pro out on scrubbed rubber, save an extra set of new tires for the race, and that way, if we have to make a second stop, we're going to have a fresher set of tires. The problem is passing around here. Ooh, it's difficult.
Yeah, I can see virtually no scenario where making 2 pit stops for GTD is going to play out in your favour, whether you have fresh tires or not, quite frankly. But it's certainly going to be interesting to see the differences between the order of the cars after this session and the one that is coming up in a little while's time. We've got the first laps in the books now. Robbie Foley goes to the top, 120.541. John, you mentioned earlier on that the Wright Motorsports car of Patrick Long was quickest in both of the practice sessions earlier today. His best time in the second session was 120.089. Qualifying record, by the way, was set by Brian Sellers back in 2017. The GTD cars had only been here once on the streets of Long Beach since the formation of the WeatherTech SportsCar Championship back in 2014. That was, as I say, in 17. It was Brian Sellers who set the record then in a Lamborghini for Paul Miller Racing at 119.243. So no one's approached that yet today.
Just a little rub on the wall coming out the final hairpin for Colin Brown, who's in the Ferrari number 63. And good to have Colin back in the IMSA paddock and trying his hand at GT racing. We've known how quick he has been in the past, but he's with Scuderia Corsa with Daniel Mancinelli this weekend, and he's been away from the IMSA paddock for rather too long, and still to get a full season drive as we're coming towards the end of this year. Just good to have him back, to be honest. So 7 minutes to go of this qualifying session. Welcome along if you're just joining us. Sound and vision free, no blocks, and of course we'll be around the world for the race tomorrow. Just 100 minutes, so a bit of a quick fire one. And I know it's late if you're in the UK or Europe, but it is a Saturday night into a Sunday morning. So stay up. You can watch a bit of the Ryder Cup and then switch on to this, and then go back to the Ryder Cup. Should just about work, I think. And we can take you through that. If you're in the US, then it's NBC SN, of course. And our colleagues will take you through that. If you're moving around, we can give you free streaming audio, excuse me, on IMSARadio.com. That's where you find the video as well. IMSARadio.com. And we'll have that. And we've got XM Sirius at the weekend as well. We're on normally on 202, but I'll get that confirmed for you at the weekend. Jeremy Shaw, more on that number 63 Scuderia Corsa Ferrari.
Number one, it's great to see that car back again. It's the first time we've seen a Ferrari in the GTD division since the Daytona 24 Hours. So the Scuderia Corsa, they're based here in Los Angeles. So the team's wanted to come back here for a while. And two very talented drivers here with Daniel Mancinelli and Colin Brown. Colin actually celebrated a birthday this week. Daniel, well, he loves this place a lot. I mean, both these drivers, everybody loves coming to Long Beach. Colin's had success here before. So has Daniel Mancinelli. He won the World Challenge event here back in 2018 in a Ferrari. So he is well attuned to this racetrack. I had an opportunity to have a quick chat with him yesterday, and huge smile on his face. Quite a big height difference between Daniel Mancinelli and Colin Brown. Colin's a good bit taller than Daniel, but they're both very, very talented. And and Colin, he's kind of elastic. He describes himself as almost elastic. He'll drive anything. Whether he's comfortable or not, he'll drive it. There's Rob Furriel taking a bit of an excursion.
Catherine Legg.
No, that'll be Rob. That's Rob.
Catherine Legg on the timing screen. And
the timing screen's wrong.
Oh, and turn 9 is the number 63. Where was the 88 Porsche off? That was the runoff at turn 6. Let's see if we can... Well, this will be the big bump here, and the back end of the car just getting loose. We've seen it throughout the IndyCar practice as well, which is just finished. But no harm, no foul, and reverse gear engaged. So the Ferrari continues.
Yeah, you're right, John. There's always been a bump there at the end of Seaside Way where the cars are turned.
It's getting worse, right, Jeremy.
Yes, I do. I was actually down there, and it is. It certainly isn't getting any better anyway.
Right.
Put it that way.
Well, yeah, bumps seldom get better, do they? Well, no, that's not entirely true. Sometimes you get a bit of movement and things flatten out a wee bit, but this is a straight track, and you know, as you say, that's the end of Seaside where you come down Pine Avenue to that wonderful turn number 8, which has lost its curbs on the inside, I've noticed as well, and people getting very close to the wall. And I will give you £1 to whatever you want to throw at it, that somebody clips the inside wall. The number 39 Audi of Jeff Westphal just going through there now, and he gives the wall a bit of space there, but you're going to get closer and closer to that. And without the raised curbs there, which did sometimes if you hit them too hard, and I think that's why they've gone, Jeremy, and they used to bounce you into the tyre stacks on the outside, and I think that's why it's gone. But somebody is going to clip the wall on the inside there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. They will, sooner or later they will, because you're right, there used to be curbs there which the cars would jump, and if you jump them in the wrong way, it'll kind of chuck you in the outside wall. So as you say, I think they've taken away those little strips there now, and you can run right up against the inside wall. But if you clip the inside wall, you're definitely going to have a big crash on the exit, because that's just going to chuck the car straight across the road and into the wall on the left-hand side. Then that'll be a biggie, because it's quite quick there now. Having with those strips being moved away, it's made the corner effectively quite a bit wider, so you can carry quite a bit more speed through that corner as well than you used to be able to a few years ago. So all that means, John, is that the crash is going to be bigger.
Yeah, absolutely.
That by Madison Snow, who puts the number 1 Lamborghini Huracan in the first position now, 119.475 for Madison in car number 1. He's gone just a couple of tenths, well, tenth a bit quicker than Robbie Foley. Second place in the BMW Vantour, motorsport car number 96. And then Zach Robichon, the Canadian driver in the FAF Motorsports, the plaid Porsche car number 9, in third position. Those three cars covered by 0.3 of a second at the moment. Richard Highstand's on a good lap there. He's just gone purple in sector 2. And number 39, Carbon with Peregrine Racing Audi, number 39, currently running in 7th position. He's not quite completed this lap. He jumps up now into 4th position. That's Richard Highstand in 4th place in car number 39.
Shea Adam is our VP Racing Field Pit and Paddock reporter. Shea, what you're hearing? How's the mood down there?
Mood is pretty good, John. A couple of notes for you. First and foremost, that Rob Ferriol car, the number 88 Team Hardpoint Porsche, I believe it has a penalty coming for transgressing the line while on the race course. We talked about how far over you needed to be for entering turn 1 from the pit lane. Well, the 23 Heart of Racing Ross Gunn just demonstrated again, 2 wheels across that dashed yellow line. Race Control issued a trackside penalty earlier on to Ferriol. We've yet to see what the ramifications for that will be, but now we've also got another car in the 23 Heart of Racing that should be receiving the same fate. The car that currently sits P1 is in pit lane. That is Madison Snow for Paul Miller Racing. And earlier I was talking with its drivers about their record on a street course. Brian's 2016, 2017, and 2018 has a pole position on a street course. Brian is a gold-rated driver, meaning he has not been eligible to go for pole position since that 2018 season. Well, looks like Madison is carrying on the tradition for the PMR crew, and Brian this time actually gets an opportunity to go out because we still have that points qualifying session coming up next. Checkered flag is out.
Let's see who is completing their laps. At the moment, it is into the pits for the provisional pole sit. They're all provisional until post-race scrutineering, of course. And don't forget, you've got to stay in the car until you're told you can get out. So Snow at the moment by 1/10 of a second in the Lamborghini number 1 from the 96 BMW of Robbie Foley in second. Richard Highstand in third for Carbon Audi number 39. Then it's Zach Robichon for Porsche number 9. Now I've now got Mancinelli behind the wheel of the 63 rather than Colin Brown. That's probably right, isn't it, in this session? So a very good 5th place for that car. Then it's Trent Hinman in the Porsche in 6th. That's the number 16 car. Then Aaron Telitz in the 14. Lexus top 10 made up of Roman De Angelis in the Vantage Aston Martin number 23. Lexus of Frank Montecalvo in 9th in the 12. Till Bechtelsheimer in 10th position in the best of the Acuras here at the Acura Grand Prix on the streets of Long Beach. That's how they stand, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's a good effort by Till Bechtelsheimer.
Very good. Loves straight tracks.
Yeah, he does. He went well at Detroit as well. They had a good, strong result there. Did gradient racing on the streets of Detroit, which was this year not a round of the season-long championship, but it was a round of the Sprint Cup Series, this is the penultimate round. The final round of the WeatherTech Sprint Cup will be at VIR in a few weeks' time, and that championship is led by the number 23 Aston Martin. Got a pretty handy lead over Robbie Foley and Bill Aubley in the Sprint Cup Championship. 1,968 points against the 1,800 of Robbie Foley and Bill Aubley, but just a dozen points behind in third position are Madison Snow and Brian Sellers, and only 23 points behind them also are Aaron Telitz and Jack Hawksworth. So that's all pretty tight in the Sprint Cup Series. But a great lap there by Madison Snow in car number 1, and this he's looking here potentially at his 5th pole position in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, and his 2nd, as Shea was saying, of the season.
Shea Adam talking about that 10th position for the Acura of Gradient until Bechtelsheimer. good time, 120.2. I mean, if he'd found a 10th, found 2 tenths, he would have been up inside the top 6. But even, I think that he'll take that given who's behind him.
Yeah, for sure. Till Bechtelsheimer, I hope that you are over the moon with that qualifying performance, because not only best of the Acuras, but something I didn't mention earlier, the Acuras that we've got running this weekend, we've got the normal duo in Andy Lally and John Potter, the duo that we've become so accustomed to. But in the Compass racing car, it's a special, well, it's for a good cause. We've got the GTD champions from last year, Mario Frombacher, joined by Matt McMurray once again. Matt, who has been racing an SRO with Compass all year long, coming back to race for the first time in GTD since winning the championship. Till outqualified the reigning GTD champion in his own car, Matt McMurray. That is a fantastic performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Till Bechtelsheimer out of the car and looking cool, calm and collected as he swaps information with Mark Miller, who will take the car out in the next session for points. And this is there's a little bit of a break now, so you can stick the kettle on if you want and make yourself a pot of tea and wait for the next session to start. We're a few minutes away from it. It's the same cars, different drivers, and it's if I'm right, Shea, it's up to the teams and the drivers to decide whether they want to throw a new set of Michelin tyres at it.
Yeah, that is correct, John, but it has to be a different set of Michelin tires than was just on the cars. That's the big difference, because of course you have to start the race on these qualifying tires. So now whatever tires you're putting on the car, free choice. You'd never have to run on them again if you don't want to. So if you've got a set of tires that are slightly used from, say, the first practice session this morning, we had 3 red flags. We had a lot of stoppage time. Maybe your tires still have some life in them yet. Then you can run on those tires. Or if you really want those 35 points and you're going to go for it, your tires are going to have some stickers on them. Yeah. But it is all up to the team as to what strategy they're choosing to run. As Jeremy said earlier, I completely agree. Throw the new tires at it now, go for the points. You're only going to make one stop during the race anyway. Yeah, true enough. Who is qualifying? It's a fairly easy thing to work down, because by a process of elimination, we've only got 2 drivers in this category for this short race. Okay, in GTLM, I'll start with the Corvettes because it's the easiest thing in the world. Team America is qualifying. We've got Tom Milner in the 4 and Jordan Taylor in the 3. So that's the silver and the yellow Corvettes, respectively. GTD, it will be Brian Sellers trying to maintain the honor for Paul Miller Racing and try and get another street course pole position. And by the way, Madison's time did not beat Brian's record, so now Brian has to go out and try and beat his own record. The record was a 19.243, so just slightly off of Brian's time. He can maintain that for himself. Let's go to the Aston Martins. We have Ross Gunn aboard the championship contending number 23, and it is Alex Riberas in the 27, the sister car for Heart of Racing. Patrick Long has been so fast around the street course today. It's been his name pretty much all day at the top of the charts. He is the guy who gets to go out for Wright Motorsport in their Porsche. We've got Lawrence Vantour, always quick around Long Beach. He won here in 2019 in the GTLM class. He's representing Pfaff Motorsports. For the 2 Lexuses, the 12 and the 14 respectively, will be Zach Veach and Jack Hawksworth for those 2 cars. Interesting little tidbit. Both of those drivers have their best ever finish around Long Beach, not in a sports car, but in an Indy car. Same can be said for Frank Pereira, driver of the number 19 Grasser Lamborghini. We've got Jake Edson. Welcome back to IMSA. He's made a start in this series before in a Mercedes, I think it was, at the 6 Hours of the Glen a couple years ago. He is doing the honors for O'Gara in their 26 Mercedes. James Safronis in the GMG Porsche, car number 34. We've got Jeff Westphal in the Carbon Audi. It's just Jeff Westphal and Carbon. They go well together, and they're always fast. Andy Lally, speaking of always fast, is in the Magnus with Archangel Racing Acura. We've got Colin Brown, another guy who's always fast, in the Ferrari. Boy, that's going to take some getting used to. Mark Miller is going out for Gradient Racing in the Acura. And there's a little bit of strategy at play there. I do have that card up my sleeve, John, but I didn't want to say it too loud because I don't want the other teams to know what they're doing tire-wise. For the Compass Racing Acura, that is Super Mario Farnbacher. We've got Catherine Legg in the 88 Team Hardpoint Porsche. And then the one, the only, the mayor of Redondo Beach, Mr. Bill Oberlin in the Turner Motorsport BMW. This should be fun.
Yeah, Bill Oberlin jumped into the second free practice session a wee bit early, and that car got parked for 8 minutes at the end of free practice 2. That is the odd session where we split it up, and he was a non-qualified driver in terms of the guys who were meant to be out there, Shea.
And John, I talked with Bill actually in between the sessions. I just couldn't resist sending him a message and said, boy, you really can't wait to drive around Long Beach, can you? I know it's your home track, but come on, buddy. And he said, hey, I just got in the car and they told me to go, so I went. It's not my fault. I'm just a driver.
You,
Sounds
driver,
right.
Drive. That's all you do. Yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely agree. So another 15 minutes on the clock. We're a couple of minutes away from that, but the team members have done all of their work. Now, this is for points, and the grid is already set. So the times that we gave you earlier on and the grid has been set. So if I happen to say provisional pole or on the front row, completely disregard me, because that's not the case. That has already happened. This is for points for the championship from the higher rated drivers. Shea Adam with the VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock report on the number 88 Hardpoint Porsche, which is just leaving the pit lane. Shea, what do you know?
Many thanks to Reese White, who's listening in. He is the fabulous PR guy for them. He said that their track violation is not a lingering penalty. All it is their lap was invalidated, so no advantage could be gained by that lap. Good to know, and thank you, Reese, for reaching out and letting us know. All
right, so that doesn't go through into another session. Okay, understood.
Correct.
Thank you, Shea. 15 minutes on the clock, and we are rolling. We add in the GT Daytona cars now. They are qualifying for points and positions here. The 3 cars, the 2 Corvettes and the WeatherTech Porsche. And Cooper McNeil, Jeremy, coming off a phenomenal qualifying performance in terms of time. Last time out at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. He's really getting to grips with this Porsche. Jeremy?
Yeah, excuse me. He's got a good amount of time in these cars. Did really well. He qualified within a few tenths of a second, as you say, last time out at Raceway Laguna Seca. So he'll be. He's another driver that loves this place as well, and he has had success here in the past. I talked about the fact that there's only been one GTD race here on the streets of Long Beach, and Cooper McNeil was part of the winning team in 2017 he was then driving a Ferrari with Gunnar Jeanette. So he knows what it takes here to win a race on the streets of Long Beach. And not an awful lot of drivers can say that coming into this weekend. There's only been 11 other drivers in this field who have, or 10 other drivers aside from Cooper, who have actually won a race here in IMSA competition on the streets of Long Beach.
It's Jeremy Shaw. He's alongside me, John Hindhoff, in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. If you're trackside here at Long Beach, good to have your company. Thanks for staying with us this afternoon. Just coming up to 20 minutes past 5. Shadow's getting a little bit longer, and more of the track in shades now. But these temperatures now, 97 Fahrenheit on the track, 72 Fahrenheit in the air. Still quite humid after the local overcast and rain showers earlier, but not anything on the track here. And I'd say, Jeremy, if this isn't perfect right now, it's close to it.
Yeah, it certainly is. With lengthy shadows here, it's not too hot, there's not too much wind, not too much of anything. It's really perfect out there right now. The only drama for some of the drivers perhaps is as the sun is getting fairly low in the sky as they come around that sweeping shoreline drive that goes past the pit lane. You've got a little bit of sun in your eyes there, but it's really flat out through that section of the track, so shouldn't be a major issue. And I would be surprised if we didn't see some very, very fast times in this session now, and of course when the prototypes come out in about 25 minutes time.
Sure, Adam, you have a caller into the pit lane, which is unusual in these sessions because there's nothing anybody can do with the cars.
No, if you touch the car, you forfeit all of the times that you had accrued already. And the curious thing is that the car that came down the pit lane was the 34 GMG Porsche being driven by James Fronis. It was in pretty good clean air, so that would not be a valid reason for coming down the pit lane. Now, the total time on the pit lane does make me think that he was just doing a drive-through to try and give himself some space. But how much space do you need? It's a 1.969 mile track, and there are 20 cars out there right now. If you've got a clear track ahead of you, it's not going to get any clearer. James, just go out and set your time.
And time remaining is just under 11 minutes. Thanks, Shay, for that VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock report. At IMSA Radio, if you'd like to get in touch with us here in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Very early in the morning in Europe, so I suspect a lot of you will be watching and listening on Catch Up as it may already be Saturday when, or Saturday later through the day. It is already Saturday in the UK and Europe. Not particularly user-friendly for our international audience this weekend, unless of course you are further around the world and it's already morning time. So hello to everybody in Australia and New Zealand. Very good to know that you're tuned in at IMSA Radio if you'd like to get in touch. And of course all of the IMSA content is on at imsaradio.com. See these times. Jeremy, what sort of time should we be looking for? It's been a while since these cars have been on the streets of Long Beach, and of course we've not seen this current iteration of the Corvette on the streets of Long Beach.
Or the Porsche.
Oh, the Porsche, yes, good point. Very good point.
This is the RSR 19, which made its debut in 2020, but we did race here in 2020, as we've already documented. So it's the first time, for both of those two cars. The lap record stands actually to Nick Tandy, who then was driving a Porsche, and it won 16.313 as the qualifying lap record that he set then back in 2019. Now, of course, driving the number 4 Corvette. That is the car that won the most recent round, the first championship race win for Nick Tandy in a Corvette, driving alongside Tommy Milner. They won the invitational race at Detroit for GTLM, but they were the only two cars there, and that really doesn't count for anything other than the fact that it was took a little bit of bragging rights for Corvette on home turf. But he's certainly going to be strong here. Well, he would be, except that Tommy Milner is qualifying the car this weekend. The race lap record was a 17.2. The quickest time this morning after two sessions was a 1:17.5. That was by Antonio Garcia in Corvette number 3.
You see, I have set the listenership globally and here in the US alight, a listener and viewership, because we're live in the States in Sound and Vision as well via imsaradio.com. Tim Fulbrook says, what do you mean watching on Catch Up? It's Long Beach, you can't miss this. And Phil says, this track is so brilliantly American. It has just the right amount of patina, weathering, if you will. I know exactly what you mean. There is something about this place that is just brilliant. It's like some of the old Italian circuits that do that sort of weathered chic so well. And this place, as Jeremy said, has changed a wee bit down through the years, but we've got used to what we're looking at now with the 11 corners and 20 cars on track at the moment. Well, actually, mate, that's 17, Shadon, because there are 3 cars in the pits.
I've got Jeff Westphal in the Carbon Audi, sitting here patiently. Jacob Edson in the 26 O'Gara Mercedes, and Colin Brown on the 63 Scuderia Corse Ferrari. All three of those cars, I do believe, went out on fairly used tires. But one fun note that we've got, Jordan Taylor's lap so far is sub-lap record, and he is still turning purple time. So this is about to get a little bit spicy.
16.3, 17.0 with the best time so far in this session by Jordan Taylor. The qualifying lap record was 16.313 back in 2019 by Nick Tandy. Curious that those three cars, well, curious that two of the three cars, curious that one of those three cars should be in the pits. For number 26 and number 63, that's the Jacob Edson Mercedes for the O'Gara Motorsports US Racetronics team. Also Colin Brown in the Scuderia Corsa Ferrari, number 63. Those two cars, they're not in the championship, any championships at all, so there's no point in them going out there other than just to turn some laps in this session. But for the number 39 car, I'm surprised that car hasn't gone out, because the number 39 car is in the reckoning for the particular Sprint Cup Championship, in which it currently lies in the 6th position coming to this weekend. It's still quite a long way behind the next car at this stage, but I'm still surprised that car did go out. But of course, Richard Heisand did get a good spot in qualifying. He was third fastest in qualifying, so that car will be starting well up toward the front in tomorrow's race.
That's Jeremy Shaw. He's with me, John Hindhaugh, from the Hackney Global Broadcast Centre. Hello. 5 minutes of the points paying for GTD, positions and points for GT Le Mans in this extended qualifying session for 2021. A little bit different from when we were last on the streets here of Long Beach for this, the Acura Grand Prix, here on the streets, on the street course. Just under 5 minutes to go. Hello to, actually we have got quite a lot of people in Europe clearly tuned in, because the tweet deck's just gone completely bonkers. Hello to you all who are staying up at beyond 1 o'clock, getting on to 1:30 in the morning in the UK, at an hour for Central Europe. It is a measure of the popularity of IMSA to the international audience, and that's not going to get any different, is it, with the new cars coming in 2022 and 2023 for manufacturers like Audi and Porsche, and the new prototypes as well from Cadillac and BMW, possibly one or two others as well, plus the new GT Daytona Pro category, which will see some different lineups, at least for the drivers. So good to know that you've got the habit, those of you outside of North America, of tuning into the live free audio and video. A little bit of damage on the number 9 Pfaff Porsche as it goes down Shoreline Drive, down towards the first corner, and there's an Aston Martin, facing the wrong direction at turn 8, just coming off Pine Avenue onto Seaside Way, right in the line of fire, and that is the 27 Heart of Racing, and that's the Riberas car, and he's now going to block the track. Lots of weird flags, and he drives right into the right Porsche. Red flag, no choice there. Well, he was facing the wrong direction on the racing line, but couldn't manage to do a flick turn there. Not sure what Andre Riberas was meant to do in that situation. The Pfaff car has lost its left-hand door mirror. Alex Riberas, sorry. Red flag is out, so that means that they will lose their times for that. And shit, Adam, he did that in FP1 as well. Pfaff Motorsports right up against the wall in the same place, rubbing the wall, and that's where the green door mirror disappeared. Alex just about clipping the wall out of turn 8 with the diffuser, and takes a little bit of carbon off that. As I say, I'm not really sure when he's just sitting there, but it was just unfortunate where he came to a halt, Jeremy. He was facing traffic in the first place, and you want to try and get out of everybody's way. I understand that, and he doesn't want to sit on the exit of the corner when people are coming round at 70, 80 miles an hour.
No, yeah, he was jolly lucky not to do any major damage to that Aston Martin with that spin, and didn't cover himself with glory with the way he tried to resume either. Unfortunately for Alex Riberas, that's a shame, for particularly though for the number 16 car, the FAF Porsche. Yeah, it's got some damage, but it certainly didn't slow it down. In fact, yeah, you've got to use every inch of the track here to go fast. Well, that's exactly what Laurens Vantour has done, because he has set a new lap record here in qualifying, a 118.957 in that number 9 plaid Porsche, and he is going to have maximum points almost certainly in this session. And that, of course, is the championship leader coming to this weekend. Another replay of that spin for Riberas. He did a remarkable job. I don't think, he was full on the gas trying to spin that car around so it didn't make contact with the wall. He was successful in that. But after that, it didn't quite go so well.
Yeah, just grazed the diffuser. There's a bit of carbon fibre that he's left there, so they'll have to take that under tray off on the back and replace it. He's taken a wee bit of carbon fibre from that. Now, whether it's just one of the strakes, the lateral strakes, or whether it's something from further back underneath, I can only imagine it's something right on the rear edge. The checkered flag is out, by the way, so this session is over. It was the Corvette that arrived first of all that was closest to us, which was the number 4 Corvette, and that was very close indeed to picking that car up. Then it was GRT, Grasser and the WeatherTech Porsche who had to find their way around in the right car. Picked the wrong side, or Alex moved at the wrong time. I suspect both things can be true at the same time as far as that's concerned. And there's a bill for spare mirror for the FAF Porsche, Jeremy.
The good news is the mirror stayed attached, so he shouldn't have a problem
by
with
the electrical connection. I'm very surprised that that's still adjustable by electric. It's clearly still got the electric connections in to be able to move the glass within the mirror itself. So top points in terms of gathering the points from the right Porsche, which was involved in that issue around at turn number 8 from Pine Avenue onto Seaside Way. Second best will be the car that is sitting in pole position, and that's the number 1 of Paul Miller Racing. And third place points going to the Lexus number 14, Jeremy.
Yeah, indeed. And the top 3 drivers are all faster than Brian Sellers' old lap record. It was a 19.243. Laurens Vantour then has a new mark. It'll go down as a qualifying lap record, I guess, although it won't go down as a pole position, of course, because that was already set in the preceding session. But lap time wise, I guess you've got to count that for Laurens Vantour. And of course, he has had success here in the past. He was part of that winning team here in 2019 in GTLM with Earl Bamber, so he's continuing his success here. Brian Sellers also underneath his old mark with a 119.105, and Jack Hawksworth jumped up there into third position in the number 14 Lexus at 119.202. So those are the top 3 point scorers in terms of this session. Bill Oberlin next. Ross Gunn doing a nice job on his first visit here to Long Beach to be 5th fastest in number 23 Aston. Patrick Long, he'll be frustrated having set the pace in each of the first 2 practice sessions and didn't get an opportunity there to go for a really good lap at the end of it. So he's going to end up with 6th place points in this session. But for the championship leaders in the season-long championship, 35 extremely valuable points for Laurens Vantour and Zachary Robichon.
And in terms of, I've seen drivers getting out of their cars there. Shea, will that have any the checkered flag was out, so does that still have the type of repercussions that we saw at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca when we had people having their times disallowed?
No, it won't, because this race is an anomaly, in essence. You cannot take your car back to the paddock until the entire train of race cars is prepared to go back. So the rule book states that the driver who finishes the points qualifying session must then drive the car to tech. Well, tech is still a good 20 minutes away. They're not going to make the driver sit in the car that entire time. But the driver who did finish the session would still be expected to drive the car to tech. I do believe IMSA have been making calls today over the race control channel to say a helmeted and belted driver must take the car back to the paddock at the end of the session. So I do believe it still counts. Madison Snow, nice sticker placement right on the headlight. I'm sure the crew guys are going to love you for that. Would you like to know who's qualifying these DPIs, since we've got them still to go?
Yeah, just DPIs, of course, just the one prototype category here. There is a choice of driver here, and this is for points and position in the 15-minute session. Shea, give us the pilots, please.
Alrighty. Well, we have Mr. Loic Duval doing the qualifying duties for the number 5 Mustang sampling Cadillac. Interesting. Loic has driven a version of this track before because he's done the Formula E race here. Nothing like this track, I should say, for the record. Way more fun is the Long Beach Grand Prix circuit. We have Philippe Albuquerque with a special Long Beach Grand Prix circuit helmet on this weekend. He's getting to do the qualifying for the number 10 Konica Minolta Acura. In the other Acura, the one that's had quite a rough weekend so far, it had an incident at first practice right at the end, wound up in the wall. The crew worked on the car through most of the second practice session, got it back out, but Dane Cameron didn't get to turn any laps in that session. Guess what? He gets to qualify car number 60 for MSR, the pink and black cars. There are 3 of them this weekend, one of them in our race. So Dane Cameron behind the wheel of that one. We have Felipe Nasser getting to do the qualifying for the 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac. That team has a lot of success at this track. The drivers do not. So they're looking to add to their resume. Their best finish was 6th in 2019 as a duo. Mazda has had a difficult day as well. They brought out the first red flag. It was a caliper sticking, I believe, with the brakes. That caused the car to be loaded up onto a rollback, taken back into the paddock. It actually did reemerge by the end of the first practice session, but it didn't get to turn any laps because the red flag came out for Olivier Plau's accident in car number 60, the Meyer Shank Racing one. We've got Kevin Magnussen was the slated driver to do the...
Sorry, who's in the Mazda? You didn't mention the Mazda driver. You told us about their woes. Oh. It's Ollie Jarvis, isn't it?
Yeah. Sorry about that. Thought I had said it was Ollie.
I was listening.
You do listen. I give you full credit for that, John. You have skills the responsible adult has trained you that most men do not. Kevin Magnussen is in the 01 Chip Ganassi Racing prototype, meaning that it will be Renger van de Zande to bring it to the checker. And did I miss anybody? No, I think I hit them all, right? Yeah. That's all 6 cars. So
some interesting choices there, Jeremy, in terms of the drivers, in particular for the choice of Felipe Nasser in the Whelen Engineering car. He's not usually the qualifying driver.
He's not. No, he's only qualified the car once previously this season in the 8 previous races, and that was at Road America, where he didn't do too badly because he qualified on the pole position there and went on to win the race. So that's a good omen. And Felipe, he was the fastest driver in the in both sessions today so far. So he was fastest in the first session with a time of 1:13.4, fastest in the second session with a 1:11.983. The qualifying lap record here was set by Helio Castroneves a couple of years ago, the last time we were here, at 1:11.3. The race lap record, by the way, also is a 1:11.9, so virtually identical to the time that's set this morning, or in the second session, I should say, by Nasser. And the race lap record coincidentally, was set by Pipo Derani, who will co-drive that number 31 car. But qualifying positions here, super important. We've seen in most of the races this season how important it is to qualify well, because it's so difficult to overtake, like we've already talked about in this session so far.
So with only 6 cars, you could almost split them up and give them a bit of track on their own. I will guarantee you now that's not what will happen. They'll all dive out at the same time. Ollie Jarvis, picture of concentration, and he's ready to go as soon as the green light is on. 15 minutes on the clock. So far then, we've seen pole positions in GT Daytona for the Lamborghini of Paul Miller Racing and Madison Snow. Jordan Taylor has taken his 11th pole position, and that puts the Corvette number 3 on pole in GT Le Mans, who will be the pole winner and pole sitter at the front of the field and in DPI. That's what we're about to find out. Dan Cameron chatting with his team at the moment and just waiting for the last bit of instruction, as it's clouded over quite considerably now, and we have most of the circuit in either shadow or shade, and this could be absolutely happy, I was going to say happy hour, but happy 15 minutes, Jeremy, for these prototypes. And let's hope we get a clean session. 15 minutes on the clock. We had there is a finite amount of time that has to happen under green. We'll get to that if we need to, and if that doesn't happen and the session can't be extended, and given the time pressure this weekend that is likely, then we would have to resort to championship positions, but let's hope that isn't the case. The 0-1 Cadillac not coming out, but everyone else down off the jacks, and a massive cut on the exit from Philippe Albuquerque, nowhere near that orange line. Now, nobody in 2 practice sessions got penalised or warned for that, but I'd be surprised if that doesn't pick up at least a warning for Philippe Albuquerque. The driver briefing, very, very explicit that on the exit of the pit lane, you must stay to the right-hand side of the pit blend line, but as that ends, there is an orange line that comes in from driver's right, which is perpendicular to the direction of travel, and you must put at least 2 Michelin tyres over that line. And Albuquerque there, Jeremy, wasn't within a country mile of that.
No, very liberal interpretation of clipping.
Oh, the sun's come back out again. Line. How lovely is that?
Yeah, it's perfect evening, just gorgeous evening here down on the beach line. Inland it's more cloudy than on the beach, but yeah, look, this is going to be really interesting, and I think this lap record might take a bit of a hammering here. It's going to be a fun session. We already talked about the fact that the first session of the day was interrupted by 2 or 3 red flags. They only got just about a half an hour of running in total in that first session, so really no representative lap times were turned by the prototype cars there. The second session was a good bit cleaner. We saw some good times there. The 11.9 then was the fastest time in this afternoon's this afternoon's session by Felipe Nasser in that caliber 31. The Cadillacs are always suited to this racetrack. The quick squirt nature, I think, of the normally aspirated V8 really works well here. They've got a really good setup on these cars with all the time they've been here. Had a lot of success here over the years for Cadillac, and I would say that this car is definitely the favourite for the pole position this evening.
Yeah, they've got a lot of torque as well from that largest capacity engine in the prototypes. You go from that over 5 litre. Oh, actually, no, they cut that back, didn't they? but it's still, it's 5.5. Yes, it used to be over 6, didn't it, or getting on for 6. It's now down to 5.5, whereas the Mazda is a four-cylinder inline 2-litre engine. So even 2 of the Mazda engines sharing a crank wouldn't add up to what Felipe Nasser's got behind him in that Cadillac. Racing into the sunset for qualifying for the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach on the streets. And here comes an Acura, the number 60, going round that tricky downhill braking area to turn 8. Not much of a braking area. Breathing into that and turning right from Pine Avenue onto Seaside. Coming down to the end of the lap now for that number 60, Dane Cameron. Trying to get the exit from the hairpin, which he does. Nicely done as well. Just hooks up onto the little bit of change of tarmac that runs up to where the concrete blocks form the edge of the circuit, running down through that long sweeping right-hand corner in towards the heavy braking area for the left-right of turns 1 and 2. Well, 1:11.9 first lap for Felipe Nasser, Jeremy.
Oh, really? Look, Duval aboard the number 5 car at the moment. He's going to be taking qualifying duties in that Mustang sampling Cadillac, and that car kind of snuck in under the radar screen a couple of weeks ago at WeatherTech race for and ended up with the fastest lap of the race for Loic Duval, which I thought was rather interesting because the car was a fairly distant last in the race at the end of the day. But clearly there was some pace there. Loic Duval was hustling that car along. He's going to be hoping to do the same here. It does a 13.7 to be quickest at the moment, but we're going to see times a good bit faster than that as this session progresses. Incidentally, his co-driver in number 5 car, Tristan Vautier, he set the race lap record here in 2017 in GTD. That was also driving a Mercedes. As it also, when Shay was pointing out earlier on, it was that was a car that Goodwin Neal won here in Mercedes in 2017. So Tristan Vautier and Loic Duval, I think, very excited about this race for that Mustang sampling Cadillac team.
Albuquerque 1:12.81, 13.7 for Duval. Magnussen just going through in a 15.3. A little bit of a moment for that number 10, almost to the wall for the Philippe Albuquerque driven Acura, and not just once, a couple of times, and actually did hit the wall on the exit of turn number 8, and he was pretty close on 5A, the exit of 5 as well. And a spin at the hairpin, the final corner, but no harm, no foul. And that was the Mustang sampling car. The number 5 of Loic Duval, the dark grey car with the yellow lettering, gold lettering on it. And that, I think, was just like trying to take a wee bit too much speed into the hairpin. Yeah, absolutely. Back end overtaking the front. He did well, actually, not to hit the inside wall there, Jeremy.
Yeah, indeed. He just lost it going into the corner. So he wasn't even on the power at that stage, just trying to get it sort of kind of woed down. So, as you say, concentrated on getting a good exit out of turn 11, but he didn't get that far. So he had to do a nice little 3-point turn and try again. Yeah, the tyres are still not up to their optimal working temperatures and pressures at this stage. So next couple of laps, though, will be I think we'll see some fast lap times.
Yeah, he was on a good lap there as well. Let's see how we're going now. Nasser, yeah, put magenta times and purple times on the timing screen means the best of anybody. Albuquerque picking up his pace as well.
So 12.1 there for Felipe Nasser in kind of 31. Again, to recap it, 11.983 was his best time earlier on this afternoon. Conditions are a good bit better now, John, aren't they? So
yeah, and there'll be more.
Surprised
yeah, and
you're a good bit off of that.
And you're fighting against. Remember, this is the only IMSA only have the WeatherTech Championship here this weekend. So you're fighting against other manufacturers' rubber than the Michelin that is being used here as well. And that might sound like a weird thing to say, but they have different characteristics and they don't always play well together, is the best way to say it. And sometimes you need to clean a bit of the rubber off and get your own rubber down before you can start putting some laps on. Well, this now is the third session of 15 minutes that we've had, so these guys, Jeremy, should have the track in the best condition for putting fast laps down. And with the track temperature dropping down again another couple of degrees, now down to 93 Fahrenheit, 73 in the air, this is as good as they're going to get.
Indeed so, and Oliver Jarvis, he's just turned a 1:12.5. His best lap time in that number 55 car so far today was a 1:13.4. That number 55 car then a stuck caliper on the left rear corner, brake caliper on the left rear corner in the first session, so didn't do any laps at all, so very much behind the 8 ball coming into qualifying, just that second session to work on the car. But now we're getting some quicker times down to the 11s there. Felipe Nasser leads the way right now in car number 31, 1:11.792, so that's the fastest time of the day so far. Loic Duval, though, only a tenth and a half back and a 1:11.936 in car number 5. Dane Cameron is in the third position, the best of the Acuras at the moment, 1:12. Actually, both Acuras identical lap times, 1:12.461. That's remarkable. Number 60 and the number 10.
And Dane Cameron, given the position, because he did it first, basically. So that's the situation for the Maishank Racing MSR car ahead of the number 10, the Cunningham and Alta Wayne Taylor Racing Run car. So unless they can improve, is how they will finish.
Improvement there for Loic Duval, but still not quite enough to knock Felipe Nasser off that top slot at the moment. 1:11.827 for Loic Duval. That's a mere 0.035 behind Nasser. Cameron also improved by a couple of hundredths of a second, but remains in third position and a full 6 tenths away from those two Cadillacs out front.
And there's an improvement for Kevin Magnussen. Now it's 3 Cadillacs at the top of the timing screen. The 0-1 car with a 1:11.967. And there's Felipe Nasser improving as well, Jeremy, and now has put 2 tenths into the field. And in the context of what we've been talking about, that's a huge improvement.
Yeah, it is. Certainly again down there, 11.620, the lap record again, 1:11.332 a couple of years ago by Elio Castro Neves. So he'll want to get away from that, but the Acuras today, nowhere near that mark. 1:12.4 is the best so far for Dane Cameron, and that's a full 8 tenths away from Felipe Nasser's best time at the moment.
Jeremy Shaw, John Hindhoff in the Hagerty Global Broadcast Centre for the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach for the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. We're into the last under 4 minutes now of qualifying for the front of the field, and the 6 DPIs that are battling it out this weekend. 3 categories: DPI, GT Le Mans and GT Daytona, giving us our multi-class. And Ollie Jarvis in the wall at turn number, I think that's turn 5, is it? So he's coming through. No, that's turn 9. He's just got a lot further round turn 9 than I was anticipating. My apologies. So he's got 3/4 of the way around and buried the nose of the Idemitsu Mazda into the tyre wall. Now, we've seen people losing it on entry there in all of the different categories today on the bump, and still running on a green flag at the moment. That was a horrible looking incident for Ollie. The front of the car's made heavy contact with the tyre wall, but it's sort of lifted it up, so I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of damage. It has brought out the red flag now.
That was really strange.
It looked like he turned in and he'd got the car to rotate, Jeremy, and then it just didn't want to continue going round the right-hander.
Indeed, and it wasn't as if he clipped anything on the
Negative.
inside, on the right-hand side of the racetrack. He
point.
seemed to be well away from the apex there. But the odd thing also, he was a long way away from the wall on the left-hand side of the track, going into that right-hand turn as well. So there's a good bit more track. It does get very, very dirty next to that wall on the left-hand side. But you still want to get out there as much as you can to decrease that radius of the arc you carry through turn 9 there. So a very strange incident there for Oliver Jarvis. It certainly looked like the car just kind of took off from him midway through that corner.
He's got
that's going to bring out a red flag, and I think that's going to be the end of the session. 20
seconds or so. If they don't get that cleared, we're going to get the checkered flag out as well. There is a shortcut into the back of the pits, which he's only a couple of 100 metres away from. And he's got the car fired up.
Actually, the transporter is about 10 yards the other side of that wall, actually, on the left-hand side of the racetrack.
I have to say, however, that with just on 1 minute and 10 to go, that should bring out the checkered flag, in which case Felipe Nasser will be our pole sitter for the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship here at Long Beach. And just waiting for that to be confirmed. Yep, checkered flag is out. Checkered flag is out according to the race control. And of course, the 2 fastest laps for Ollie will disappear, and that will stick him to the back of the grid.
Which is
penalty.
where he was in any case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was last in any case. So,
I didn't know that if that had been applied or not, Jeremy, when I looked up. My apologies.
I don't know whether it has been applied or not, but it is going to be a moot point because he was last in any case, I think.
2 fastest laps are taken away if you cause a red flag in qualifying.
Yeah, 13.179 is going to be the time. So yes, but again, he was slowest in any case of the 6 cars.
So it will be pole position for Cadillac. In fact, the top 3 positions all Cadillac, then the 2 Acuras, then the Mazda, and that is that the second pole of the year for Felipe? You said that the last time he qualified he was on pole this year.
Indeed, the only time he's qualified the car was that was at Road America a couple of races ago, and he ended up winning that race too. So a good omen, I think, for the Brazil. He loves this track. As Shay was saying earlier on, hasn't had a lot of success here in the past, but he very much is a fan of the racetrack and the event itself. And so for the 29-year-old from Brasilia in Brazil, big smile there, and a pole position well earned. The Cadillacs, they suit this racetrack. This is definitely favoured turf for them, but you've got to take advantage of that, and it's exactly what Felipe Nasser has done.
All right, you ready for the sticker?
Yeah, very good point, Jeremy. When you get the opportunity, when you have got an advantage, you've got to play it as best you can. Let's just recap then. It's going to be Cadillac on pole position at the front with the Whelen Engineering car. Corvette claim pole position in GT Le Mans, and it'll be Lamborghini and Paul Miller Racing for GT Daytona. That's the end of our coverage this Saturday. It's Michelin Countdown to Green and the whole of the race live tomorrow here on IMSA Radio. Friday as it is here. Saturday we race. It's the Super Saturday event, Michelin Countdown to Green, and the whole of the race live. Join us for that. It's going to get proper Saturday night fighting on the streets of Long Beach for the Acura Grand Prix in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. Bye for now.